Okay. We should be going live here in a second. Bear with me all. Lots of technology happening. Okay, we are in fact live.
Okay.
On Facebook. So everybody right now, if you are not a playwright for this evening's play or an actor who is performing, if you could at this point mute yourself and or turn off your video. And just a little introduction. I feel a little weird because I'm usually on my side porch, but it's cold outside, so I'm in my living room today. I did my best to keep my dog from barking. But really excited for this now, the third of our Monday Zoom reading series. For those of you who are joining us either via Zoom or now via Facebook Live, my apologies. It took us about 2 or 3 minutes to get the live Facebook gods to be in our favor. It wasn't streaming for some reason, so thank you for your patience. It took the third try was a charm, and we should be live now. So. Without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce our first reading. The first play that we will be reading tonight, and actually let me navigating 3 different screens here. The first one that we'll be reading tonight, October 19th, is Anyone Should Be So Lucky by Pamela V. Knoll. So if Pamela and her actors want to go ahead and turn on their audio and their video, what I'll do is I'll ask you, Pamela, if you could just speak a little bit about why you wrote the script. Okay. And then I think you're also reading your stage direction. So if you want to introduce your performers before you start as well, and then you can go right on in. So just a little bit about why you wrote the play. If you want to introduce your performers, and then we'll go right on into your reading.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me here. This is my second play that I'm having done by Ensemble, so I'm very grateful. And this one also is based on a true story. All identities and circumstances are changed to comply with HIPAA standards. I wrote this play as an homage and a testament because Rosa's story moved me deeply when I first heard it. It demonstrates my philosophy as a psychologist, but ask me what my philosophy is after the performance, because otherwise I'll be tipping it off. It'll be a spoiler. The 2 actresses who I'm delighted to have here again were in my first play, and they're joining us again. And I'm delighted that Lina Metrison is going to be Rosa, the mother, and Jocelyn Laraquente is Vera, the daughter. And I'll be reading the action. Thank you.
Whenever you are ready, Pamela, go right on ahead and get started. Yep.
The scene is a spotless kitchen. There's a basket of fresh beans on the counter with knives and bowls. And at Rise, Rosa is on her knees scrubbing her kitchen floor. Hear a knock at the door. Vera moves to enter, but she stops abruptly at the door.
Oh.
Vera kicks off her shoes and then marches into the kitchen and sits at the kitchen table. As soon as Vera sits, Rosa is up on her feet and scuffles to the doorway, picks up Vera's shoes, wipes them off, and places them neatly together to one side, and then returns to the spot on the floor and continues scrubbing.
Well, how are things going, Ma?
How do you expect? You going somewhere?
I already am.
Where?
Here.
What do you mean here?
I came here. I'm visiting you.
It's nearly the middle of the afternoon. Don't you have somewhere to be?
Well, not today. It's my day off, remember?
Oh, yeah, sure. But who's watching Tanya?
Tony? Mommy, she's in school.
Well, won't she be getting out soon?
Not for another hour. Nothing's changed since I saw you 3 weeks ago.
Oh, says Miss Smarty Pants. And who's walking Tanya home from school?
I haven't done that since she was 9, Ma. She's a big girl now.
You shouldn't take any chances. You never know when there's a pervert watching.
Oh, you and your perverts.
I never took any chances with you, and nothing bad ever happened. Now, did it?
No, I can't say anything bad ever happened, but if Tony is walking home in a group with her girlfriends and I'm there to meet her at the house, what bad thing could happen?
You never know. You just never know.
Yep, that's right. One never does know, Mommy. A person has to have a certain amount of trust in the world.
I don't trust. Too risky. I mind my own business.
It's such a lovely day.
Vera reaches into her pocket and takes out her cell phone and checks her messages.
When I was a girl, we never left the house in trousers, and we always had busy work in our handbag. We would never waste time twittering.
When you were a girl, there was no twittering. And I could have worn a skirt if I wanted to.
Why didn't you?
You would have told me it was too short.
It probably is.
Vera continues to check her messages while Rosa rises, takes the bucket and scrub brush and exits. Then she returns with a laundry basket and begins to fold all the clothes.
So are you being uppity today?
Me? Why would you accuse me of being snobby?
Well, you only said hello to me.
Of course I said hello to you. I'm not rude.
Well, why don't you say hello to your father?
My father. Mommy, Daddy left when I was 14. You remember?
How could I forget?
He left to be with that Veronica lady.
How could I forget?
She was almost 6 feet tall and had inky black hair. I remember her like it was yesterday.
How could anybody forget?
She tried to get me to like her, but I couldn't. I mean, you and Daddy never even got divorced, did you?
No, I could never.
So how could I treat her like she was my auntie when she was taking my daddy away?
Oh, I know. Veronica was never your aunt.
And you did everything for him, everything. You shaved him, cut his hair, cooked, cleaned, kept a garden.
Oh, I know.
You worked at your grocery store until you had enough money saved to have a house built.
I know.
You saved some more and opened the health food store. First one in the whole area.
Oh, tell me about it.
You had chickens and a pig, and you sold the eggs and sausages in the store.
Oh, except not to vegans.
Except not to the vegans.
Oh, but it never felt like work to do any of that, really.
I'm not criticizing Mommy, but Daddy never did anything, did he?
What do you mean? He worked at that plant for the first 5 years.
He was a floor sweeper, the lowest paid position they had and the easiest work.
Oh, but then he worked at the store, at our store.
And did he ever do anything more than sweep the floor?
Oh, he couldn't do what he didn't know. I'm the one who could talk to the Italians and the Slovaks, the Germans, and even the Spaniards when they came in.
You always made excuses for him.
He's my husband.
A husband. Ugh, like that's a guarantee of goodness and faithfulness.
You don't know what he was like when we were first together.
How could I?
Oh, he was so handsome. Sometimes I would just stare at him when he didn't know I was watching. And I'd realize that I stopped breathing. Oh, he was so beautiful, like one of those Greek gods, like Apollo. Oh, not an ounce of fat on him and all in proportion. Oh, and lots of full, thick black hair. Oh, and his breath was sweet. Oh, his kisses were sweet, like honey.
And that was enough?
Well, there was, oh, you were married.
Oh my God. Mommy, you're talking about sex?
Okay, sure, about sex.
I never thought that sex was enough to make a marriage.
No, Vera, you're right. Just sex wouldn't be enough. But with your dad, it was something else. A miracle, a dream. I was transported. Oh, he would touch me, and I began to disappear into the universe. Like I just floated around like a mist of molecules. It was what I think heaven is. I got to go to heaven. And you don't even know what I'm talking about.
Did you really like doing everything for him and being his slave?
Oh, anyone should be so lucky to have a love that we have. I still love him, you know. But to answer your question, no, I didn't like it when he left. No.
I don't get it. I'd never forgive a man who up and left me for another woman.
Yet he did.
He who?
Your husband?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. I will never forgive him.
That's you then. Everybody's different. You weren't as lucky as I am, I guess.
Rosa finishes the laundry and moves to take the basket off stage. Hear a horn sound. Rosa drops the basket, runs off stage towards the sound of the horn, and then returns with an empty water pitcher. She refills it and exits with a full pitcher. Then Rosa returns and Vera looks very bewildered.
What was that about?
Oh, I got him water.
Who rang the bell?
He wanted more water to drink.
You mean Daddy's here?
Why do you think I asked if you were going to say hello to him?
My father, Daddy, he's here now.
Well, yeah, sure he's here.
He's here right this minute?
Yeah, sure, he's here right this minute.
What is he doing here?
Oh, he's got bad lungs and he's going to die.
Oh, why didn't he go to a hospital like everyone else?
Oh, you don't go to hospitals to die nowadays.
Then why isn't he at a hospice? Wait, is he in your bedroom?
Well, of course, where else would you put a sick person?
He should be on the sofa. That's good enough for him.
Oh, no, there's too many contraptions and doodads he needs. Oh, they all take up the room.
He could stay in the guest room.
Oh, there's the oxygen machine, the ventilator, humidifier, the portable toilet, oh, foam wedges, extra pillows. Oh.
A portable toilet? Don't tell me you have to do that too.
Well, they don't clean themselves now, do they?
Speaking of clean, who gives him his bath? Do you have a nurse coming here to see him?
Well, no.
Why ever not?
He doesn't like doctors and nurses, and he doesn't believe he's dying anyway. Now, how can you join a hospice if you don't think you need their services?
You are the hospice mommy, and he's in your king-sized bed. Oh.
Look, you had your turn. You got married your way, and you got divorced your way. Did I say anything? Do I say anything? So here I am, and I'm doing things my way.
But mommy, your king-sized bed, you just bought that bed.
Oh, I know, I know. But sometimes you do the hard things because it's the right thing.
You didn't have to get a king-sized bed.
Yes, Vera, I had to. He's still my husband, and I never stopped loving him.
I still don't get it. Wait, what? What do you mean you had to get a king-sized bed?
'Cause Veronica has cancer too.
The end. The end.
Wonderful. Thank you, Pamela. I am adding in a few people here, as well as managing our little chat function. Thank you very much to Lynna and to Jocelyn. Wonderful job, actors.
And
Thank you
before I go, I
Yes.
just wanted to give my philosophy now, because that's kind of like, we'll give the purpose to the whole play. And that is this: if a person has inner joy, you don't have regrets and you cannot be miserable. That's it.
Wonderful.
Thank you, everyone.
Wonderful story. Thank you, Pamela, for that story. A really great dynamic, I think, there for sure, in terms of the relationships between a mother and a daughter and how that dynamic can work, for sure. So thank you for that. I don't want to take too much time in between. If anybody has any comments or questions they want to share, feel free. I know I didn't say that at the very top, but feel free to share that in the chat function, or if you're watching via Facebook Live, you can share that in our comments section as well. And I'm more than happy to address them if we get them post or in the middle of a reading. We can address them during our little breaks here. But I didn't get a chance to say that at the very beginning, which is use that chat function if you can, to share with us any thoughts and or feedback or questions you might have. And then as well, also, if you're watching us via Facebook Live, feel free to use that comment section as well. We have a few people jumping on here, a good number of people on Facebook Live and a good number of people here. So thank you all, about 40 people so far who are joining us tonight. I know it's been a very difficult we're in month 8 now already. It seems like yesterday it was March. And we haven't really had theater be a part of our lives on a daily basis. And so it can be a really strange and weird environment to be in, kind of navigating this, not being able to mass gather. And really our industry has been put on pause in a way that it never has before in my lifetime. So creating these outlets has been very rewarding. I know for the people who are involved with stage rights, but then also me, and how we're able to connect a little bit with our ensemble audiences. We are navigating doing some virtual programming. We're going to be announcing that really soon. Of course, we're rethinking how we produce completely in a way that is safe, and make sure that all of our audiences, our artists, and our producers are being safe. So know that we are going to try to put out a little bit for this coming season, but it's been a very unique challenge. And so having these outlets like this 10-minute plays Mondays has been wonderful, and we'd want to do nothing but continue it. So without further ado, and we're doing these every other Monday, just in case you weren't aware, I did put up that link that allows you to see what the next set of plays would be, gives you a little bit more information on our playwrights, and any updates that we have on what we're doing the following Monday. And then of course, a lot more information on ensemble as well. So if you're joining us via Zoom and or if you're joining us via Facebook, I put the link to that page on our website on both of the chat areas. So let's move on to our next piece, which, and let me scroll down onto my page. I know it was renamed at the last minute and I keep forgetting. The Extras by Rannigan Walsh. So if Rannigan and your cast, if you want to turn on your video and your sound, and then if Pamela, if your actors and you, which it looks like you already have, want to turn off your video and your sound, Rannigan, if you want to go ahead and just say a little bit about where this play came from and introduce your actors and who's reading for you, that would be wonderful. Rannigan, the stage is yours. Go ahead. Yep.
Thank you, Celeste. The extras came from a true story that was told to me by a friend here in Cleveland that happened to her as a parent. My wonderful actors are Lena Metchison is playing Mrs. Stevens, the school superintendent, and Tamika Scruggs is playing the parent. Ed Walsh is reading the stage directions. Go ahead.
Scene 1. Jocelyn Lane, a parent, walks into the office of the superintendent of the City of Waterford Schools, Mrs. Stevens.
Come in, Mrs. Lane.
Thank you, Mrs. Stevens. I hate to bother you, but
Did Mr. Brown send you here?
the principal? No, of course not.
The usual protocol is that the principal, Mr. Brown, speaks to me about issues at his school, not the parents.
I don't have time to take a ticket and wait in line in the principal's office. This is urgent. Besides, I want to talk to the smartest person at Waterford Schools, and that's you. You didn't get that big salary for nothing. I know that.
Thank you, Mrs. Lane. I'm quite proud of what I've done here. What seems to be the problem?
It's Martin, my third grader. He's slipping behind in reading and math.
Jocelyn pulls Martin's report cards out of her bag and places them on the desk in front of Mrs. Stevens.
This is his report card from last year. And this is the one that we just got, from all A's to C's and D's.
Oh, I've seen this happen when parents aren't getting along or someone has lost a job. Is there trouble at home?
This is about school, Mrs. Stevens. His teacher tells me he ain't retaining information, but that classroom's too noisy.
Why, Lincoln Elementary is one of our blue ribbon schools, 5 years in a row.
Between you and me, I took a day off from my job at the post office to help his teacher in the classroom. I just wanted to see what was going on.
Really? You must have been very worried to miss work. Was Martin on his best behavior or was he getting into trouble?
I'm telling you, it's not Martin's problem. You need earmuffs with all that noise. And his teacher is a brand new teacher and he don't know how to handle those kids.
My daughter went to Lincoln Elementary, you know.
2 years back, living over in Bridgewood, both my boys were doing real good. Here we were saving and saving to buy a house. And then some big time developers come and bought up everything we could afford.
Now, I know for a fact Bridgewood schools are no better than ours. My daughter's a college honor student and she went all through the Waterford schools.
They even tore down our apartment building in Bridgeford. There's a new condominium complex there now, real fancy. Even got a guardhouse in the front. Maybe you've seen it on Fowler Road?
No, I can't say I have. I don't get over that way very much.
Well, I was doing some checking, and I know Waterford schools are not going to get a Blue Ribbon Award this year. Now, that's a shame.
I beg to differ with you. It's true that our test scores have gone down, but that is just temporary with the population shift.
You mean all the white people moving out made the test scores
Now, don't you put words in my mouth, Mrs. Lane. What I was about to say was that a lot of very solid African-American families have moved in, and I just know that the scores are about to improve. But it's a challenge with not as much money to work with, for one thing.
Not as much money? I heard you got a big bonus for getting the schools out of debt. $50,000 on top of your 6-figure salary. And I read where you got a contract extension. That's really something. Said you got it for making something called the future plan. Now that takes a really smart woman.
I am very proud of the future plan. It's just taking a little longer than we expected to get it going because the levee failed.
That levy failing. Maybe that's why things are going haywire. Nothing to do with blacks and whites moving about. Ever think of that?
All I know is that we need more time. The future plan will work in the end.
Are guards part of the future plan? I heard there's a guard in the school now. That gotta cost a lot.
It's true, our schools have required a more supervision, but they're still manageable.
Now that word, it really gets me. It seems like everyone's always trying to manage African Americans, and I don't want that for my boys. Security guards makes them feel like they're in prison.
I am just saying everything's under control. You have nothing to worry about, Mrs. Lane.
Well, we've even been having some problems on our street. Lots of Waterford school kids on West 98th. I come home the other day and 3 new boys we don't even know was playing basketball in our driveway. I guess they don't have a basketball hoop in their own yard. And this year, with no sports programs,
There is nothing we can do about children in your neighborhood.
my boys weren't even there. They went with their daddy to the store. And when I told those boys to leave, they swore at me.
Once they leave the school building,
After I kicked them out of our yard. Well, now they're going after my boys walking home from school, teasing them and calling them names. We can't be protecting our boys at all times. And if Waterford schools didn't cut their sports program, well, those boys will have somewhere to be.
we have no jurisdiction over children after school.
Don't you care about your students even after school? I thought you were a part of a community. That's what it says in your handbook.
We are a community, Mrs. Lane, but there's only so much that we can.
Forget your future plan. You need a plan of action now so my boys feel safe. I even checked it out with my tarot cards. See, I'm a reader in times of troubles like this.
Jocelyn puts a deck of tarot cards on top of the desk. She leans over to get closer to Mrs. Stevens.
And the card said, you could help us.
Well, I don't know about that.
And to think, my kids are falling behind because we moved here. The tarot card said yes to the move. And this is the first time that the cards was wrong.
I have high hopes for our test scores next year. You'll see.
Mediocre. That's what Martin's teacher said about his scores.
I assure you, Mrs. Lane, Martin just needs a little extra help. If he had A's last year, well,
Gregory, my older boy, he's bored now that the extras are gone.
Extras?
Yeah, over in Bridgewood, they have music teacher, or art teacher, and the after school sports program.
I feel just as bad as you do about that. After the levee failed, well, we had to make cuts.
It ain't right.
Did you vote for the levee, Mrs. Lane?
Of course, I voted for it. My question is, did you vote for it?
I worked day and night to get it passed. That's as good as a vote.
Well, parents saying some of those teachers didn't vote for it because they live elsewhere. Maybe that's why it didn't pass. And I thought that the superintendent had to live in Waterford.
What we did was more important than voting. That the teachers made lots of calls, but But without that extra money, well, that extra tax money, we have a hard time keeping the schools current.
Half the computers in Gregory's room don't even work. We have to go to the library and wait in line for a computer.
Now, we hope that the next levy passes and then we can get upgrades on the computers.
When is that?
Mrs. Stevens looks at her watch.
Well, in 2 years from now, but let's get you squared away. I want all of our parents to feel included in our future plan. I can talk to Martin's teacher and see if he can't do something about that noise level. And please, can you follow protocol and work through Mr. Brown, the principal, in the future?
Mrs. Stevens stands up to end the session.
Oh, Mrs. Stevens, there's one more thing. I'm thinking about moving my boys over to the Catholic school, Our Lady of Hope. You see, I have plans and both my boys going to college. Their daddy and me never had that chance.
Mrs. Stevens sits down.
What, are you Catholic?
No, but they'll take my boys. I already visited some of the classrooms and they're quiet enough so the kids can learn. And they got all the extras. Couldn't you please help us with this?
That would be a big mistake. Our schools are going to improve. The future plan is all about that.
When? Our boys need the help now. The thing is, the tuition at Our Lady of Hope is $1,000 per student. We can't afford that, Mrs. Stevens. I'm thinking, the Waterford schools could pay their tuition, right?
I can't believe you would even ask. You're certainly entitled to transfer your boys, but the school district won't pay for it.
We pay our taxes. You owe us that.
That is ridiculous. We are doing a good job here, and you're making a mountain out of a molehill.
All these awards on your wall. That means you put the needs of your students above all else, right? Isn't that the kind of superintendent you are? Just like the last superintendent, from what I heard.
Mr. Jones.
They still talking about Mr. Jones over at the Catholic school.
Oh, what a mess he made. He was only here 2 years and took the district into debt. I'm the one that stopped all that nonsense he approved, like paying for private schools. That's why I was hired. No more of that.
Yes. $200,000 for you to live on and $50,000 for cutting out the extras. And here, Gregory needs computers in his classroom.
I assure you, when the levy passes, then
My children cannot wait 2 years, and neither can you, Mrs. Stevens.
What do you mean?
I'm what they call a substitute postal carrier. See, I take over other people's routes, and I happen to know where you live now that you left Waterford.
Well, that sounds like you're stalking me, Mrs. Lane.
I delivered your mail the day you came back from a vacation, and that was a lot of mail. The doorman said that you've been gone 10 days on a cruise. Must have paid for them tickets with your bonus, right?
I did live in Waterford, but I got divorced. Not that it's any of your business. The board knows I moved. We don't broadcast that information, but since you're asking, do you know I am nominated for the State Superintendent of the Year award for getting this district back on track?
Well, isn't that something? Congratulations. I think parents gonna be interested to know that you don't live in Waterford. So No vote for you for the next levy, right?
My one vote for the levy wouldn't make any difference anyway.
Yep. Here you are, living right where our old apartment was. What are people going to think? And about that Superintendent of the Year award, what do you think that
Are you
people...
trying to threaten me, Mrs. Lane?
I'm just telling you how it is. Maybe we should ask the tarot cards if you're in danger. Maybe lose that award you want. I just hate to see you not get what you work for. People might misunderstand you taking a cruise when there's trouble at the schools.
Jocelyn starts laying down the cards. Mrs. Stevens stands up.
Take that hocus pocus off my desk, Mrs. Lane. This meeting is over.
Jocelyn continues to lay down the cards.
Well, I gotta know what's coming. The cards tell me if my boy's gonna go to a good school. They already told me I'm gonna win if I file a lawsuit against Waterford schools. I just wanted to give you another chance, though, Mrs. Stevens.
I can't believe you're threatening me.
A lawsuit against Waterford schools would surely be on the news.
You wouldn't do that.
And I really hate to see your blue ribbon school get a bad reputation.
Okay, Mrs. Lane, let's figure this out.
Okay. Please, call me Jocelyn. I mean, we talking dollars and cents now, Anne. It's Anne, right?
Yes, it's Anne. Of course, Jocelyn. I guess a donation could be made to Our Lady of Hope. That could work, but not from the schools. I'll just make a personal donation, spread some goodwill. It could help the Catholics vote for the levy next time.
Jocelyn hands Mrs. Stevens an envelope.
Here's some papers from Our Lady of Hope, so you can make a tax-deductible donation.
Mrs. Stevens opens the envelope and looks surprised.
You've really thought this through, haven't you?
Honestly, Anne, no harm having a tax deduction after getting a big bonus. I want this to be a win-win.
Good thinking, Jocelyn. Yes, good thinking.
And I just knew you'd figure out a way to help us.
Just let me get my checkbook out.
Jocelyn continues to turn over the cards as Mrs. Stevens opens her purse.
Wouldn't you know, the tarot cards almost always right. And now my boys are going to get all the extras after all.
The end.
Wonderful job, guys. Thank you so much for reading that piece. I don't know if there's like a digital version of a bow. I didn't mention that for the first time, but the wonderful actors, Lina and Tamika, I know you guys did a great job there reading. I always just do kind of like maybe a hats off type of bow for everybody. But thank you so much for that reading. That was great. We did get a little comment here that I'll share, and then we can keep moving forward. But again, if you guys want to ask any questions, make any comments regarding what we just read in the chat function of our Zoom or in the comment section of Facebook Live. For Pam's reading, a Mary Chadbourne, I do love embracing the husband and his partner, caring for them both. Not having to reveal it until pushed. Why would one be so fully empathetic? So that was a really interesting question. India Burton, love her. She works at CPT. I was about to say CPH. She said hello to everyone and was like tuning in during our most recent reading of Rannigan's piece. Really interesting topics we're addressing here. Healthcare, public education. So good to have these kind of real meaty topics to try to attack in a play, especially in a 10-minute play. So congratulations to Pamela and to Rannigan for addressing topics that are quite large in a very short script. Some really good stuff in there from my perspective as well. Pamela Rosa demonstrates that someone with her inner joy has no regrets and is miserable. While I would hate to live her life, I have to admit she was filled with joy and happiness. The only reason she crossed paths happened to be when she had to move into long-term care and she lost her independence. So yeah, talking about some really interesting topics here. Hospice. I know that I just went out and voted. I hope everybody's voting out there. Let me put my piece in there. But I did just, there's a public school levy that's on our voting in Cleveland Heights and University Heights. So that's an interesting topic to be talking about civically, but then also artistically, a really great topic to attack with a script. I've always been a firm believer that drama is conflict in the mind of the audience. So when you pick really good meaty stuff that they're dealing with on their daily lives, it's good material for really great plays to be written about. So, and in the process, please feel free again to put any comments you have in the chat or on the Facebook live stream, and I'll read them in our little breaks in between. Of course, we have one more reading here, and then we can also open it up for some feedback in person if you'd like at the very end, but we do have one more reading that we want to get to before we open it to a kind of a Q&A or a talk back if we want at the end. And the final piece for tonight is called No Exceptions. And that is by Joshua Mendel. And then go ahead, Josh, if you want to just speak a little bit. And if your cast wants to turn on their video and unmute themselves. Rannigan, if you're lovely cast and you want to mute yourselves and turn off your video. Josh, if you just want to speak a little bit about why you wrote the play and then introduce your actors and then go right on in if you want to for your reading.
Thank you. The reason I wrote the play is that in Stage Writers, we put out the call for 10-minute plays, and I had never done one before. And I probably tried, I think this is the third try. The other two were like blah. And this one kind of, once I had a subject, it wrote itself. So I had the honor of being a hotline worker in 1982 through 1994. And in 12 years, I probably talked to 2,500 people. Normally you had a partner who could help you in this kind of a call, which was a suicide call and a genuine suicide call. I had maybe 4 real suicide calls. 3 turned out quite well. This one was a challenge. And the problem that night too is that I did not have a partner. So I was all alone. And in those days you'd have to, because we didn't have cell phones, you had to trace, go station by station by station. And that was not possible. So this is not that verbatim call. It's kind of loosely based upon it. And I'm delighted to introduce my cast, Tim Tavkar, who is taking the part of the hotline worker, Greg, and Paul Slimak, who is taking the role of Jeff, who is the caller, and Agnes Herman has been nice enough to do directions for me. So I'll just turn it over to them, and thank you all.
No Exceptions by Joshua Mendel. Act 1, Scene 1. Setting, hotline room, fall 1990, between 10 and 11 in the evening. The hotline room is in a basement with no windows. Props, a chair, sofa, lamp, an old-style push-button phone set, a call write-up book. At Rise, Greg is sitting alone on the chair, thumbing through the write-up book. We hear the sound of the phone ringing. Greg puts down the write-up book and answers.
Together hotline.
The lighting spot goes on Jeff, who is at the phone booth. Jeff does not acknowledge Greg's intro. Greg hears Jeff breathing.
Hello?
Jeff does not respond. Greg hears Jeff's breathing.
I'd like to help you.
Jeff still does not respond. Greg hears Jeff's breathing.
Take all the time you need. I'll stay on the line.
The silence continues until Jeff is ready to speak.
No one can help me.
I'm here to help. What's going on?
Nothing is going on and nothing's gonna. I've reached the end of the line.
End of the line? What do you mean?
I'm gonna kill myself.
How do you plan to kill yourself?
I have the easiest plan in the world. All I have to do is walk outside.
What happens outside?
I owe a lot of money to a lot of people. They're all looking for me. All I gotta do is stop hiding.
Someone will kill you when they find you?
Bingo!
How much do you owe?
30,000.
Wow, that's a lot of money. How did you get into that debt?
Coke?
You took $30,000 worth of cocaine? So that's why they want to kill you. I'm sorry, I've lost sound from you, Paul.
What?
I've lost sound from Paul there for a second.
You have a line coming up.
No. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay.
We can. Do you just want to go back a few lines and jump right back in, guys?
All right, let's go back to
Not all that went up
Yeah.
my nose? Okay, fine.
Yep.
What's
not
that?
all of that went up my nose. I was a dealer. I skimmed my suppliers. The last shipment I didn't pay for.
So that's why they want to kill you.
The mob expects their money, all of it. They don't offer easy payment plans.
So they'll shoot you when they find you?
I'm not worth a bullet. They'll probably use a knife or just beat me to a pulp.
Why don't you turn yourself into the police? You'd be safe in jail.
Ha! They got a long reach. I wouldn't last 1 month in prison.
Wow. You can't think of any way out? Family? Friends?
I don't know anybody who has that kind of money. My family kicked me out 15 years ago when I was a pothead. Doing heroin fucked things up with them for good. I snorted through my friends, keeping the coke habit going. I haven't been able to score for 2 days. I feel like shit. The cravings are killing me.
No partner?
No one's been that stupid for years.
How are you staying alive?
For the coke, it's catch can. I steal. Sometimes I sell myself, my blood. I get a meal on the church circuit when I'm sure I won't get fingered. I've been sleeping where I won't get caught, parks mostly. Summer hasn't been so bad, but winter's coming.
Greg thinks about all of this.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just thinking about what you've told me so far. You're in a very tough spot.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
You know, it's my job to help you find a reason to keep on living. But I gotta be honest, so far you haven't told me one.
Don't feel bad. It's not like me being off this planet is going to be a big loss.
I'm not gonna tell you that. Everyone has value. I wouldn't be on this line if I didn't believe that.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm the exception.
There are no exceptions. Listen, you don't see a reason to keep on living, but you called us anyway. You could have walked out on the street a long time ago. You want to live.
Yes.
Maybe I can give you a reason. I've been talking to you for like 20 minutes now. I'm involved and I care. You go out on the street and I am going to feel like crap.
Oh, that's bullshit. What did you say your name was anyway?
Greg pauses as hotline workers should not give out their names.
Greg,
Yeah, well, you're full of bullshit, Greg. It's not my job to stay on the planet so you won't feel bad.
how do you know that?
What kind of line are you handing me here? What's your story, Greggy? Here it is, like 10 o'clock on a fine Saturday night. You should be out finding some chick to screw, or by now, doing the nasty. What are you doing? On a phone line for dickheads talking to a loser.
You're not a loser. And talking about my sex life is a dodge. We're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you.
There's nothing more to say. Why do you do this?
Greg is silent.
Greggy, you don't answer my question. I'm hanging up and going out right now.
Okay. I'm not supposed to do this. You're right. I don't have a social life. I work on a hotline.
Yeah, because you're too ugly to get laid.
No, because I was right where you were one Saturday night. Of course, the details were different, way different. I called the hotline at the end of my rope. I thought my life was useless, that I was useless. I saw no future, at least nothing worth looking forward to.
So why didn't you do it?
Because someone said to me the same thing I am saying to you right now.
And that's why you didn't kill yourself?
All I needed was to get through the night, to wake up the next morning knowing that one person in the world gave a damn whether I lived or died. That call gave me the courage to take a step I should have taken way earlier. I care about you. I really shouldn't do this. What's your name?
Jeff.
I care about you, Jeff. I care about what you're going to do here.
Jeff thinks about what Greg has said.
But nothing's going to change tomorrow.
Nothing's going to change if you don't take a step. So far, the only way out we've identified is jail.
But they'll get me in there. You can be sure of that.
Maybe. But there's no hope for you on the streets. I'd rather die because I took a risk to live.
Jeff thinks about what Greg has said.
I'm going to go.
What are you going to do?
I don't know.
Jeff, find someplace safe to sleep tonight. Make the choice tomorrow morning. But remember, I'll be thinking of you. I'll be praying for you.
Okay. Thanks for talking to me. God bless you.
Jeff hangs up the phone. Spot goes off phone booth. Greg hangs up. Greg takes a big breath in and lets it out slowly. Fade out on Greg, the end.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Tim. Yes, another great topic. I'm trying to get my video here starting again. To be attacked on a 10-minute play to take those kind of issues is really definitely very brave of all of our playwrights. I mean, I think picking topics that tend to have a lot of human issues. Something that was actually brought up in our last comment for our last reading, very timely stuff, well-focused on the human issues at the heart of the problem. The characters were well conceived and vividly realized by your actors. The tarot cards were an amusing and poetic touch, almost a third character, nicely done overall. Yeah, some really interesting, ways to kind of flesh out the individual circumstances of characters in plays. These are real people with lives, and so seeing some very interesting character creation within all three of the scripts that we showed tonight. Rannigan, very nice piece. Pamela, very heartfelt, and I really enjoyed it. And also from Rannigan, very good piece, Josh. Ed and I were very impressed. So a lot of camaraderie here amongst our playwrights as well. So I would open up to any actors. If you guys want to have any last minute comments on being kind of participating in your 10-minute play, if you want, you can unmute yourself and go ahead and say something, or if you want to drop something in the chat, you're more than welcome. I want to make a huge shout out to all of the people who have participated to help bring life to our playwrights' words. Lynna, Tamika, Tim, Paul, Jocelyn. We wouldn't be here without the wonderful job of all the actors reading the parts as well. Pamela and Ed and Agnes helping with the stage directions too. It's one thing to read it on a page, and then it's of course another thing to hear it out loud. Awesome job, everyone from Jocelyn. Great job, Pamela, from Cindy. Yeah, some really great stuff, guys. Really interesting topics that we addressed with these three plays today. I've always been very much a kind of socially conscious theater person, in that I think that the pieces that we work on tend to have a kind of a commentary on what's going on in the world around us. So yeah, thank you to the three playwrights for really keeping that in heart. Rannigan, thank you so much to Tamika and Lynna. Yeah, you guys were great. Lynna, it looks like you unmuted yourself. Do you want to say anything? I'll go ahead and give you the stage for a second.
I really just wanted to thank both Pamela and Ranny for the opportunity to do two very different parts. I always enjoy that. And working with two actresses I've had the absolute joy of working with in the past, and Jocelyn and Tamika. Tamika and I did Night Mother together, and
oh wow,
so
that's great.
she is very dear to me, and it was wonderful working with her again. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Lynna. That's great to hear. I feel like ensemble can become another word like family. We all become family with one another when we get a chance to work on pieces together. Yeah, anybody else? Tim or Paul or Tamika or Jocelyn, if you guys want to unmute, you're more than welcome to. You're not obligated in any way, so don't feel bad if you don't say anything. I don't want to.
Well, it was just an
Randy,
honor
go
to
ahead.
be asked again to read one of Josh's plays, and we got through the whole thing this time instead of the last time when I could only do Act 1. But it was a pleasure. It was. I thought, oh, well, this is sort of the same theme, but really it was much different than his full-length play. I mean, it was much more intimate because it had to be condensed for the 10 minutes and stuff like that. And I think it worked very well. Certainly for me as an actor, it did.
Yeah, very brave thing to share also too. I think, Josh, that kind of very personal experience to go through something like that. That was my reaction really quickly. But yeah, thank you, Tim. Very much true. Cindy, proud to be a member of Stage Rights with you, Rannigan and Josh and Pamela. Great acting from all the respective casts. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rannigan and Pamela, for the opportunity to play these two very different women from Lynna. So she also said that as well. I think there was, one other. I love the fact that this is the first theater I've seen in 8 months. Thank you. Very poignant. It's so different, the access that people are having to what they consider theater nowadays. So I want to thank you all because yes, we're in such a challenging environment right now. And to find different ways to connect with one another is kind of where this came out of. If any of you guys aren't aware of the group, Stage Rights at Ensemble, they were a group that prior to COVID, they would meet every Wednesday. So we offered one of our big rehearsal rooms as just a space for people to meet, an open door. People could come in and out. Actors would come in and help them and then start writing pieces of their own. It was a really great opportunity. A show that I directed maybe about 8 years ago my second year as the artistic director, a good friend of mine, Rajiv Joseph, wrote a play, Huck and Holden, and part of what he had talked about at a talkback about writing his play, he had worked with a group in New York at Cherry Lane that literally that's all they would do is help people write scripts. So they would provide the space where people could just literally hear their stuff read out loud. And that's really an interesting part of the playwriting process. So that's really kind of how Stage Rights came about. And then it's become this very like close-knit family of local writers. And so it is, again, an open door. They do it now every Wednesday via Zoom. So if you want to join that, just feel free to email us. You can email info@ensemble-theater.org. I'll put that in the chat too, and then I'll get you connected with who you need to get connected with. So if you're a writer or you're an actor and you want to work, again, on additional pieces, you can do that. Open door for us. We just really like to create the opportunity and the kind of family. And then again, we're going to try and work on doing some somewhat theater pieces that will have tickets. I mean, I don't know, the whole world of producing has completely changed. So stay tuned because we're really working on finalizing some of those details for some programming for the remainder of our 2021 season, which I'm sure all of us experiencing in all different theater communities and companies is going to be unlike any we've ever seen before. So thank you all for participating. Pamela, Celeste, you're so awesome. I love how knowledgeable and professional you are. Oh, okay, I'm not going to talk about myself. We don't need to talk about me. Thank you guys for all being a part of this, because I think without you, there would be no me. I can't do what I do without all of you participating in it. And know that we're doing these every other Monday. So if you have a script, I'm actually getting sent some stuff as well from outside of Cleveland. So we may go national, we may not, I don't know. I really love to lift up and amplify local voices, because I think we have a really rich, talented group of writers and actors in Cleveland, and we should, you know, I can't say enough how wonderfully talented and what a rich fabric of artists we have right here in Cleveland. So thank you all for being a part of our community and continuing to work for all of our theaters in various different roles. If there is anybody else that wants to has any last minute comments, I know a couple of the Stage Rights unit people are in the space, but they've said most of their stuff via chat. Please spread the word, let people know about what's going on. If you have any pieces that you're working on that you want to, you know, have some people read with you, you're more than welcome to join us. And thank you for joining us on this Monday. We will see you again. I hope the following Monday, not this coming Monday, but the following Monday. And I do believe that date is the 1st of November. So November 2nd. I swear I feel like yesterday it was March. So the days are just kind of crazy. But yes, thank you all. November 2nd will be the next Monday that we meet together. Info@ensemble-theater.org if you guys have any questions. And I did post that link, ensembletheater.org, and then you can go to the 10-minute Zoom plays. It'll give you all kinds of information on what our next set of readings will be. And thank you all so much for joining us. Feel free to leave a comment on the Facebook Live too, and we can get back with you if you have any questions. Those will all get archived and put on our website. That same link will show you the last 3 Mondays and any future Mondays readings, so that there's still the opportunity to see all of the wonderful plays that we've done, from climate change to public schooling to suicide prevention, some really great pieces that are being written by our local writers. So thanks again, everybody who's joining us. If anybody else has any last minute comments before we step away, thank you guys again for being part of our ensemble family. I'm excited and hoping to see you all again soon. Yes? No? Wonderful. All right. I will see everybody again next week. Join us again. If you are not next week, but the following week again, I said November 2nd. Go ahead and check our website too if you need any updates on what plays we'll be reading. And stay in touch. Stay safe. Stay healthy, and we'll see you all soon. Bye, everyone. Bye, Jocelyn. Thank you, guys. Bye. Bye, Tamika. Thanks. Bye, Lena. I didn't see your face, but there she goes.